It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Last of Us on HBO. Of course, we are hours away from the premiere of the finale episode of Season 1, Episode 9, which is called Look for the Light. And I think everyone will agree with me that all video game fans will be eagerly waiting to watch this episode. Particularly, they'll be waiting for a particular scene from the game because it's a pivotal point of the story, not just for part 1 or season 1, but also for season 2 and 3 of the TV adaptation, which is part 2 of the video game. And that scene is none other than the hospital scene or the Firefly's lab scene, particularly the scene with Joel in the operating room and what ends up happening in that operating room. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at whether that scene will be even more brutal and cold-hearted than the video game. Of course, the world of The Last of Us is a brutal one. Survival is the name of the game, more so in the video game than the show, but I think everyone will agree that the last 2 episodes have really ramped up in the brutality and the action. So I think we can all agree that this is the case in both mediums at this point. And of course, being in this world with how brutal it is, sometimes that means making tough decisions that can have consequences for yourself and those around you. And no decision, of course, was tougher than the one that Joel made at the end of part 1 of The Last of Us, which is going to translate into a scene in the season 1 finale. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break it apart, and I'm going to talk about how I think they're going to approach things in the TV adaptation. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break it down. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's get right into it. But before we do, a spoiler alert for those of you who have not played the game. I tried to be spoiler-free in my introduction, but obviously from here on out, we're gonna get into specifics, and if you haven't played part 1 of the game all the way through, you probably don't want to watch this because it will spoil a pretty major scene for you. So with that, let's get into it. Okay, for those who are still with me, let's talk about the pivotal scene from The Last of Us Part 1 where Joel kills Jerry, the Firefly's doctor. This was a controversial moment in the game, more so something that was really focused on in the second game than the first game, but still, looking at the whole story, you'll agree with me that it was a controversial one. Not controversial in the way you might think, but controversial in terms of the question of morality and all of that. And it'll be interesting to see how this is going to be handled in the TV adaptation. It's possible that we might see a small deviation from the video game in the TV series, with Jerry being more of a focus. We saw a similar approach in the flashback from The Last of Us Part 2 video game, so they might approach things in the same way and not approach it the same way that they did in part 1 of the game, where we didn't even know the doctor was a big deal until later. And it was really in part 2 where we saw the doctor as a character. We saw him as Jerry and not just the doctor. And if they have thought ahead and already cast someone as Jerry, we might see him even without a mask, and we might actually see a little more focus on the character, but not in a way that gives away the plot of part 2 or season 2, but enough so that non-video gamers will kind of start to piece things together and question what's really going on. But what's really interesting is how this moment might be more brutal and cold-hearted in the TV adaptation. We know that Joel is more brutal than ever, and based on what has been teased, if the finale is truly gonna divide fans in a massive way, they may approach this scene a bit differently and put Joel in a more savage light to get the point across about Joel's mistake and his morally wrong decision. And this is not just for the Doctor. They could apply the same type of thing for the Marlene and Joel situation. And I think if the rumors are true that this episode will be even more brutal than the previous episode and it will have more action than all of the previous episodes, that sort of gives you an idea what we might end up getting. We might get Joel being as brutal as he was in the penultimate episode, with the way he was treating the prisoners, with the way he was interrogating them. So we might see the same savage Joel when he deals with the fireflies, but also we might see him be more cold-hearted in the way that he approaches killing people. I mean, in the game, Joel was a killing machine, and obviously they can't really do that in the TV adaptation because they want to keep things realistic. But I think now, where we are seeing a big shift in Joel's mentality, and we are seeing him make pretty atrocious actions to save the person he loves. Obviously, we're talking about Ellie. We might see a shift in the way he handles situation as part of that. We might see him kill without questioning anything or even kind of stopping to think about whether that person is really posing a threat or not. And we might see a situation where he might approach the situation with Jerry in a way where he just doesn't care. And it might go as far as him killing Jerry in the most brutal fashion, and not just because he wants him dead to protect Ellie, but maybe he'll let out all of his anger, and maybe it'll be a situation where he hits his limit and goes overboard, truly overboard. And maybe they'll do the same thing with Marlene. And maybe it's the combination of all of these things that are gonna make fans question Joel's morality and his actions, really dissect whether Joel made the right decision. But that's pretty much it for this video. What do you think? Do you think the TV adaptation will be more brutal and cold-hearted when it comes to this pivotal scene? Let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. Thanks for watching. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.